They gave me a CAT scan. I didn't have any cats in me. The doctor came in and said, you've got 2 brain tumours. Oh, thank heavens, I haven't had a stroke. And it was in the middle of the pandemic. Everything was locked down. You feel very much alone. And I didn't realise that I told my wife that I had brain tumours. I thought someone would have called her beforehand. Book yourself an appointment. Go and see what it is. Hopefully it's nothing. That when you close that door, just make sure you say, thanks, doctor. Thanks ever so much. Continue the hard work. Sorry, I'm cold in my own house. I'm trying to make a positive impact on the Shell and BP by not using my heating oil. Fuckers. Anyway, I've just had a call with a neuro-oncology specialist, brain surgeon. I suppose it's like Dr. Nick from Simpsons. And he is based in Addenbrooke's Hospital. So he's just called to go through the MRI scans that I had about 6 weeks ago at the S&N Norfolk and Norwich here in Norfolk. Anyway, so I'd previously spoken to my GP about them. She's amazing. Now she's seen my results, and she said she's fairly happy. Obviously, she's not a brain expert, but she can read scans. She was fairly happy that neither of the 2 have grown, but one of them. Wait there. Just so you understand, I've got one here. I don't know how big it is. Maybe a bit bigger. Okay, I've got one there, and then oh bums, one here. Got to be careful not to press on my temple too much. Okay, does that look nice? That's not a Sharpie. Hopefully that's going to wash off. Not sponsored by Beryl. Or Sharpie, obviously. So the one here, it looked like it had been bleeding. Now I've deliberately spent the last few weeks since she said that not searching for brain tumour bleeds on Google, because that's only going to make me anxious and Lisa, my wife, anxious, and then I'm just going to be grumpy and the kids will be impacted by it and all that stuff. Whereas today, my doctor, I need to stop calling him Dr. Nick, because that's not who he is. He's qualified and he's a great person. He's been very helpful. But Dr. Nick called and he seemed to think that he wasn't sure about a bleed on either of them, and that actually this one seems to have got a bit bigger. But at no point, he didn't call up and say, oh, Chris, that one's got bigger. He said, it looks like it might have got bigger. So can you see why I find this all quite difficult to understand? Because I'm getting contradicting views from different people. And I'm just going, at the moment, on how I feel. And I feel bloody great. I feel really jolly good. And that ultimately is all that matters. So, those of you who don't know, I made the decision not to have the surgery. So this one is in a really risky place, because if they go digging around in here, it will affect, or could affect quite badly, things like speech, which I'm sure those of you that watched any of my other videos, you wish that would happen, because I go on a bit. And this one, a little less risky. So they were going to go in here and they were going to, I don't know, probably cut around there, maybe a bit around there, or maybe just drill a hole, I don't know. And they were going to dig as much of that out as possible. And the weird thing is, this was the first option they gave me. They gave me 3 options when I was diagnosed a year ago. And the first one, the one that they said they'd go for, was that they would do this. Then they'd wake me up. So they'd cut me. Then they wake me up. Then they start removing the shit out of my brain. Just to make sure, because I guess if I start going, they go, stop, put some back. I'm sorry. I'm trying to just be funny about this. It's actually really scary. So that was option number 1. And I'm not afraid to tell you that when they told me about this a year ago, I just was already crying like a, not like a baby, just like a fully grown man who has 2 brain tumours and 4 children and a beautiful wife, and has been told some dramatic shizzle. So I was crying, just, oh my God, can you imagine that? Then we wake you up? It could have been a comedy show. Anyway, option 2 was that they'd get a drill, presumably, and go, just there. So it was much smaller, and they'd take a biopsy, and they'd and they send it off to the lab, and the lab could then find out what it is, what type of tumour it is it a tumour, blah, blah, blah. All of this stuff. And then the third option was we'll take regular scans, and if things start changing, then we might need to start making some more serious decisions. So what do you reckon? And obviously I went away. It's difficult when you're in front of someone who obviously is used to this stuff, and he's firing this stuff off at you, and he's probably only been given 10-15 minutes to get all this information across to me, because the NHS is having its funding cut all the time. Whereas I'm there, I'm not taking any of it in. It's just, it's not sticking at all. Lisa was with me, luckily. Went away, thought about it, and at first I wanted to have the biopsy to find out what it was, then inquired more, and they said, well, actually, no, we'll only take a bit of this one. I said, well, wouldn't you need to take a bit of this one and a bit of that one? They said, well, no, because this one's far too risky to start getting barrel pens jamming in your head. No, a drill and getting the biopsy. From there, it's far too much risk. And they basically went, P.S., this one's also really risky. You can have a stroke. It could trigger a stroke. And I was like, oh my God, I feel fine at the moment, so I'm still able to go to work. No, let's not do that. While I'm feeling fine, let's leave them as they are and monitor them. So I went with the regular 3 monthly scans, and so far everything's been going really well. Nothing seems to be changing in size a great deal, apart from today, where it was the first time they said, oh, I think that, again, you sense my cynicism here, like, I think that might be changing. I think it might have grown. I think it might. he's a brain surgeon. He's that's what he does. That's what he is there to do, and that's the thing that he can do to help people like myself. So of course he wants to get in there and go, well, from experience, I'm going to, dig some of that out. Da 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 da. And because everyone is completely different, everyone with a brain tumour is completely unique. He can't look back at his records and go, oh, that one that I didn't operate on lived longer or shorter time than that one that I did operate on, and vice versa. So it's all very, very difficult, and I appreciate that. And I'm not being ungrateful at all. But I've made the decision that I've accepted that I'm going to die. So let's just live a great life. Okay? Let's keep having, trying not to make people feel too uncomfortable with it, and be lighthearted, and when it happens, it happens. You see, even if they did this thing, and they dug as much of that out as possible, they could then start, and they'd have a better idea of whether it's going to be chemotherapy or radiotherapy. So that's the beginning. And I don't know. I mean, my granddad had long courses of. I was too young. I don't know if it was chemo or radio. I think it was chemotherapy. It's not an easy thing for anyone to go through. I'm prepared to go through with it. That's fine. If he can say, because it's going to stop this thing, bring it on. Let's put the chemicals in here, strap me up, all the radio waves. When somebody can't come to me and say it's going to help, and in fact they just say, well, it will prolong, it could give you 6, 12, 18 months extension, and I say, oh, cool, wonderful, how long will the course last? Well, it would be 6, 12, 18 months. Oh, so you're just effectively, and again, this is how I view it. If you think I'm being an arsehole, I'm just doing my best to be, just communicate here. But you're effectively giving me 6, 12, 18 months of extra life so that you can fill me with things that my body rejects, hates, kills off all my immune system. It would hopefully do the one thing it needed to do. But can you imagine being my child who comes home from school? You've already had it with the pandemic, where no one can be close, no one can touch one another, everyone's scared to go in that space. Can you imagine being my 4-year-old son, my 9-year-old daughter, or 16-year-old daughter, 17-year-old son, seeing their dad who they can't really get close to because they've been at school. So they might have COVID because they've caught it from Timmy, or they can't come near me because I've been my immune system's been obliterated. So I can't have the cuddles that and I'm weak. I could barely get, presumably I would struggle to climb out of bed and go and play with them. At the moment, I'm in a situation where I can, every day, take my son to school, put him on my shoulders. And when I pick him up, I can put him on my shoulders, go back to the car. What happens for him? And because of his age, when do those memories change? He goes from having the dad who, in his mind, looking back, I was always on his shoulders. I was sailing through I was, whoa, He's almost known in the playground as, hey, Sonny, what are you doing up there? He's like super, super sunny. And I don't want to go through that if it's not going to actually fix anything. I would rather face these two and live with them, accept that at some point we're all going to die. I am going to die sooner than I hope any of you do. And just crack on, almost just try and forget about it while I'm not feeling any changes in me, and live my best life. Not my longest life, my best life. I've always said I'd rather die younger but happy than older and unhappy. I can't think of anything worse than being in my 90s and not being able to really do anything. You know, rock and roll. So that's the sort of fairly regular series of events that seem to happen. They're the only things that really cause me any anxiety about this condition. It's when I have to talk to my experts. And you know, the reason I don't speak that fondly of Dr. Nick is because when I made this decision, the decision he said I was free to make, remember, option 1, option 2, option 3, regular scans. When I made that decision, he wrote in his notes, Chris has given up. I found this out because I spoke to a lovely lady at Addenbrooke's who was almost catching up on previous meetings and things, and was reading out loud, da 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 da. Chris has given up. Da 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 da. And I picked up on it. Said, I don't think he was meant to write that, was he? They just make me feel like I'm a box to tick. Patient 3, I'm a number. Patient 37851. We can fix him with this. If it doesn't work, oh well, better notify the mortuary. Anyway, next case. I'll have got my boxes ticked and I'll have submitted my forms. Probably complete rubbish. But it's how I feel. And I'm sure that if I feel it, there are a lot of other people that might feel this as well. So even today after the call, I had to call Lisa at work and say, just run through it with her. And we've agreed that, that call effectively, it's not that it hasn't happened, but it's not changed anything. I don't feel any different, any more negative, cynical, or any positive since the half hour before the call. It's just a whole load of other possibles, maybes, fingers crossed, it is what it is kind of thing. I'm not interested in that. I'd like to base the rest of my life on positivity. And I said to Lisa, I just want to make people happy, the people that I love happy, and I want to love as many people as I can. Strangers, just love one another, just be kind, and if you can have a positive impact on anyone's life in a day, even if it's someone you don't know, I think that's important. And I want to be able to play with my children and not be Uncle Fester and then, this big scar. I mean, I don't want to have a big scar here. I mean, look at my fine head of hair. Oh dear. Maybe that's the real reason. It's because I don't have hair anymore. I can't hide the scar. That was it. Case solved. That's the only reason I don't want to have the surgery. But hopefully my art today has helped explain things. This one apparently is capable of making me. It has an effect on my personality. That's the common belief, that area of the brain, generally, if you have an issue here, then you can turn into the right Jeremy Hunt. And this side triggers problems with speech. And obviously a lot more than that. But I feel I've vented enough now. It's a 20-minute long video already. But here's the most important bit, and the reason I really want to explain and have taken this time to explain a little more about what's going on. I ended up going to the doctors because I thought this ear was losing some of its high frequency. And I wanted to know if it was just that my ear needed syringing, or that I had bad sinuses and that there was more gunk, cold-related gunk on this side, and it just wasn't clearing. Just wanted to talk to the doctor about that. And I'd lay in bed in the morning, early hours of the morning, and I'd think, the birds sound lovely. Because it was like... And then I think, wait there, the birds are not awake now, and it's not even the right time of year for, the dawn chorus to be kicking off. That's my ear. I do need to go to the doctors, because I'm a man and I'm not very good at admitting I need to go to the doctors. Although I like that bit. I will probably cut that out. Anyway, he did some hearing tests. There is something going on with that ear, he said. And it was quite odd because he said, I'll book you an MRI scan. I thought, bloody hell, an MRI scan? I thought my hearing, I've got bad ears, or a bad ear. That MRI scan didn't actually happen because before it had a chance to be booked, I woke up in the early hours of the morning having had a seizure. And Lisa said, ambulance is on its way. It's like 3 a.m. or something. And I said, oh God, what's wrong? Are the children okay? Are you okay? I said, no, it's you. You've been having a seizure. No, I haven't. Because I've been asleep. You have. I've been watching you. You've been clamping down on your tongue, shaking, I don't know, maybe fetal position. I'd wet myself. It was retracted. It's too much information, isn't it? Yeah, I'd wet myself. And they whisked me off to the hospital. And I was in for 5 days. The first day they did a lot of tests, could see I was low on, what was it? Potassium? Something. I wasn't exactly with it at the time. But whatever it was, they put a drip in this arm. And then whatever other thing was wrong, another drip in here. But I'm doing my best to just be happy and get on and be nice to the amazing, lovely people in the NHS hospitals. Do my best, behave myself, eat my dinner, make sure I eat everything, smile, say thank you, you've done a great job. Everyone. Because they are doing a great job. Day 2 came, I think it was day 2, they gave me a CAT scan. I didn't have any cats in me. Anyway, no, they found some things, but they didn't really know what they were. So the doctor comes in, says, we're going to send you for an MRI scan. Leading up to that, they'd already been trying to figure out why I was having seizures, and they kept saying, well, it could be, because of this, could be that you've had a stroke. I was on the acute stroke ward with all the legendary people in their 70s, and we were all, behaving ourselves. They said, you might have, we're going to test you for HIV and AIDS. Sorry, what? This is all coming at me while I'm already dripped up. It was a lot to take in. I thought it felt like a dream. Oh yeah, a bit of AIDS. Anyway, after the MRI scans, the doctor came in and said, you've got 2 brain tumours. It's really weird because you sort of feel, it's almost like I went, oh, thank heavens, I haven't had a stroke. And then, what do you mean, 2 brain tumours? Oh, you got 2 brain tumours. So you're going to have to stop driving and do that. It was very matter of fact. There's it must be a tick sheet. And it was in the middle of the pandemic. So no one was allowed in or out of the hospitals. Everything was locked down. I wasn't allowed any visitors. So you feel very much alone. You're trying to sort of almost make friends with the nursing staff because you're lonely. You've got better off than most people in that I had an iPad with me, so I could watch, iPlayer and YouTube and stuff. I didn't realise. In fact, I didn't realise until the other week when I was having some couples/family counselling, Lisa and I, to talk about how we're going to tell the children, or how we're going to deal with it as I get worse. Lisa, it really upset Lisa to come back with that memory that she received a text message from me saying that I had 2 brain tumours, and I didn't realise that I told my wife that I had brain tumours. I thought someone would have called her beforehand to let them know, and I thought I was actually, so in my head, I'm just sending that sort of lol text message to follow up and almost try and lighten that bit of information. She couldn't be with me. Oh, look, a bare old pen. Just have a bit of water. And I didn't have anyone there to support me either. It was weird. When I got out, it continued to be weird because also you've had seizures, so everything's it's all in black and white and slow. That's the only way I can describe it. Black and white and slow. You know where you are. You know who people are. But it's like someone had moved everything. You couldn't quite put your finger on what was going on. Plus, you'd then given these tablets to take, and they mess with you even more. So, it was odd. Anyway, blah 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 blah. I am now here where I am, and I'm able to make these videos, and I'm actually really enjoying them. I don't really care who watches them, how many people watch them. I'm doing it for me. If you start having trouble with anything, especially if you're a man and you're stubborn and say, No, I'm not going to go to the doctors. Why would I want to do that? Oh, shut up. Stop going on. Oh, I'm just wasting the time. No, book yourself an appointment. Go and see what it is. Hopefully it's nothing. But make sure that when you close that door, or before you close the door, on your way out, and you say, just make sure you say, thanks, doctor. Thanks ever so much. Continue the hard work. You're doing a great job. Because they probably don't hear that very often. And if that was what I had to do day in, day out, just that one little bit of friendliness and affection from someone they saw would make all the difference. I'm going to leave it now. And I only have scans. I think the next one I've decided not to have 3 months, but 6 months. So you probably won't have to hear about brain tumours for another 6 months. Oh, that'd be nice. Anyway, bye-bye. Bye. I better go and wash this off now. Anyway,